how to unmute, enable, please allow someone join, enable, allow participants to unmute themselves. Of course, you should be able to unmute yourself, but it's fine. Okay. Hi, Laurie.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah,
Hey,
good evening.
Mr. Idris.
How far, a big one? Good evening, how you been going?
I'm good. Good evening. All right. So Miracle, I don't know why you cannot unmute yourself, but at least you can hear us. That's the most important thing. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. So today I just want to do walk us through Ansible. Okay, so we are going to be treating Ansible. So I have a couple of Ansible guidelines here. By the way, so I have my Linux running. So right now I'm running on my Linux. So let's start with. So Ansible is actually a configuration tool. Okay, and you can also call it automation tool as well. So when you're talking about automation, at least you can use it to automate maybe server configuration, application deployment, and the likes. And when I'm saying automating application deployment, yeah, I actually mean there are some things like that you manually get done. Let's assume you want to deploy. Let's assume you want to you have a new server. And when I mean a new server, you have EC2 instance, for instance, that you spinned up and you need to configure it. Let's now assume you have about 100 EC2 instance that you spinned up. Imagine a scenario where you have to log into all these servers one after the other and configuring individual server. I mean, configuring user for individual servers, deploying packages for individual servers, just getting things done on those servers. Okay, so instead of you logging into 100 servers one at a time, with Ansible, you can just write an Ansible script, which we call playbook, okay, to automate the process. That is, Ansible will SSH into those 100 servers and perform deployment and perform whatever task you are assigning Ansible to do in those 100 servers all at once. By so doing, you save time, you save energy, you avoid error. Okay, so and again, there's also consistency. There's also consistency. So that's why we actually call Ansible an automation tool or a configuration tool. Okay, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Can you hear me?
It does, yes.
Yes, it does.
All right. So to start with, so this is what we are going to do. So Ansible, what makes Ansible different from other configuration tool? Like for instance, now we have what's this called? Is this Splunk? Okay. Is this Splunk? Is this Splunk? Okay, yeah. We take for instance now we have Splunk. So now in normal scenario, in a normal scenario, there's something we call agents and there's something we call clients. Okay, so if you want to do something like that, most of other configuration to work in such a way that before you make use of them, you actually install an agent or client on the control, like the control node. Okay, let's assume in a scenario we have a control node and then we have what's it called, remote nodes. Okay, so remote nodes are the nodes that you are the servers. Okay, remote nodes are the servers that you want to configure. Okay, then the master node is like your control room. Okay, so now in a normal scenario, what you're supposed to do is before you can do anything on those remote nodes, you're supposed to install a client, okay, like an Ansible client on those remote nodes so that the configuration tool can be able to perform those tasks on those remote nodes. Am I making sense? Like, okay, I'm on server A. Server A is the control plane, and I want to control server B and server C. In a normal scenario, this scenario, I am supposed to install a particular client on server B and server C so that server A can access them. So with Ansible, Ansible does not work in such a way like that. What Ansible just does is Ansible work with SSH. It doesn't need clients. In normal scenario, you're supposed to have some client that you now configure some syncing so that the server A can communicate with server B, blah, 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 blah. But with Ansible, you don't have to do that. All you just have to do is just create an SSH access, okay, on those remote server and grant the control server, which is the master, access to those server, maybe using the SSH password or the SSH key. Okay, so the beautiful thing of Ansible is you don't need to install any other thing aside the Ansible, aside Ansible itself on the master nodes. Okay, so to start with, okay, to start with, you start by installing Ansible. So you start by installing Ansible. So let's assume you have a new machine or a new VM. You want to run the apt updates on those on your machine. Okay, so let me just run apt updates here, but I think it's already updated. It's already updated. So, but then let me just run it. What can I do? So sudo apt updates.
Sorry, it's looking like you're not using the Ubuntu again.
What do you mean by I'm not using the Ubuntu? This is actually Ubuntu anyway. So now,
okay, you're not using the Institute instance again, right?
Yeah, I'm not using the Institute instance. So now I just have my Ubuntu on my local machine anyway. So now in this scenario, now this is what I'm going to do. Since I already have Ubuntu installed on my machine, on my laptop, okay? So I'm going to use my local machine as the control panel, as the control node, okay, as the master node. So that's where it's like the engine room. So then I'm going to use EC2 instance as the remote node that I want to configure, okay? So now this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to how should I put it now? I'm going to spin up EC2 instance, okay, afresh, and use Ansible to make the configuration. Okay, so you see that in action. So now this is my own Ubuntu already now. So I'm just trying to update and I want to install Ansible before I do the configuration. So control insert and then okay. So it said it's already installed at the newest. I think I have run before. Then update the repository. Then after that, you can install Ansible. You understand what I'm doing so far, right? I'm just trying to install Ansible just with this command, right? I believe this is not strange so far. Let's try to start delayed item. Fine, let's equals this. Was failed. Nice this. Relay package list. Try to start delayed item. Okay. Why is this? This is the apt. All right, so reading package. So I think the repository is installed. Then let me install Ansible. So it's installing Ansible. It's just slow like this because if it was 62 instance, it would be so fast. You know, it's cloud. Cloud is kind of faster anyway. So and again, when you are practicing, doing something like this too can also be consume a lot of data, you know, because I'm using local machine, so it consumes my data. Like when I was using C2 instance, that's why it's a little bit slow. All right, so now we have Ansible. Let's see Ansible version. All right, so this is to tell you we've successfully installed Ansible. So now let's talk about some few things in Ansible. So now when you're talking about Ansible, what are some of the terms that you might need to understand in Ansible? The first one, let's talk about inventory. So there's something we call inventories. So inventories is more or less like a file. You know what inventory means in English? For keeping records. So with inventory is where you actually configure the list of servers. Okay, the list of servers you want to manage, okay, or you want to configure. So you have inventory. We also have playbooks. So we also have playbooks. When you're talking about playbooks is like the scripts. It's like the script you developed, okay, for Ansible to where it's like the script that Ansible used to perform those tasks that you wanted to perform. That's the playbooks. Then we also have modules. So Ansible works in such a way like it has modules for performing different tasks. Okay, so I'm going to show you. Let's assume there's this Ansible documentation that has all modules that you ever need, you know, to perform in Ansible. So it's you don't really have to know all these things offhand. You don't really need to know it offhand. It's there. Let me see. I think. So all you just have to do, okay, yeah, this is it, all modules. So just open this all modules. So anything you want to perform, just go to this documentation and look for it. Let's assume you want to configure CentOS. You want to configure a CentOS server, and you want to use Yum to configure CentOS. Just find Yum. You can just find something like Yum. You see, okay, you see Yum packages with Yum package manager. Let's assume you are using Ubuntu and you want to install Ubuntu package, which actually use apps. Just look for apps. I think we should see some apps. So look at it, apps package manager. So just click on it. You see modules that Ansible has designed that will help you to deploy. That will help you to deploy those Ubuntu packages. So just put that example. Look at this first one. These are what we call modules. Each module this is one module. This is another module. Each module has what they are doing. Okay. So don't get scared. Look at this module. Look at the name. It said install Apache HTTPD. This is just to tell you, like, this is a module to help you install Apache HTTPD. Does that make sense? So all you just have to do is just copy this and run it. By the time you run it, it's going to install this package on all the servers, 1,000 servers, 100 servers, name it. That's what this is going to do for you. So let's assume you have other things you want to install, like Nginx. The only thing you just have to do is know the name of the package and replace this HTTPD with, no, look at it. This is just description. It said install Apache HTTPD. And what is the name of the HTTPD? It's called Apache 2. That is the name of the package. So let's assume you want to install Nginx. All you just have to do is replace this Apache 2 with Nginx. Or any package you want to install, just get the package name and just put it here. That's how Ansible works. So you just replace. Then look at this, update repository cache and install. So let's assume it's just a repository you want to update to, just like we have repository update here. We have repository update here. This is a repository update, just like we have it here. So just know the name of the repository and run it. Just replace it. This foo is just a placeholder. Okay, so remove package 2. Let's assume you want to remove Apache 2. You just replace the package that you want to remove. You just put it here and copy this particular module and run it. Okay, so install package foo. These are just different examples. So you just browse through, you just browse it and say, oh, what do I want to do? Okay, this is what I want to do. Remove useless packages, auto clean. So you see, remove dependencies that are no longer required. Let's assume you just want to do some cleanups. So am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of it. It's not like you have to know all these things offhand. Just go to the Ansible playbook. Look for what you're looking for, and boom, you're up and running. So let's assume you want to do anything on EC2. Just browse EC2. You see it. Look at it. EC2. Create, terminate, start or stop EC2 instance. You see. You can see for EC2. So you can do a lot of things on EC2. Create or destroy an image in EC2. Elastic load balancer, that's ELB for EC2. So these are a lot of things you can do in EC2. Key, EC2 key, create or delete EC2 key pair. Okay, so these are some of the things you can do with EC2 instance. It says create a snapshot, blah, 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 blah. So that's it. So let's assume you want to configure a database. It's as simple as just look for database. Let's say MySQL database. Just look for it. Look at, these are different things you can do with MySQL. This is MySQL in Azure. Okay. Look at MySQL DB itself. Add or remove database from a remote host. MySQL info, gather information about MySQL, the replication, the MySQL user, or the remove user. So you see, you can do a lot of things. So I believe at this stage, you should be getting excited already. Like with this Ansible, there are a lot of automations that you can easily perform that will make your work easier. So that's the beauty of Ansible. So let me ask, I hope you're getting excited about Ansible or about the solution that Ansible is actually bringing to the table. Okay, I can see your thumbs up, Laoye. So Femi Miracle. I hope you're getting excited about Ansible already.
Yes, sir, we are.
Yeah.
All right, good. So So now the next thing we will want to do is let's start working with Ansible. So to start with, let me get my EC2 instance. Let me get my EC2 instance. Why is it so slow? I already have an EC2 instance running, but let me just terminate this and just create something fresh. Terminate. I'm going to create something fresh. We'll just call it Ansible. We all know how to spin up EC2 instance.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Easy. Okay, so let me just create a new key pair. Do I have the key pair already? Okay, I think I have this key pair already. So I'll just select this key pair F2. And create security group use existing one, or let me just allow the traffics. So as it is, I'm going to leave it as it is. Then I spin it up. Just going to get my IP. All right, so now that we have Ansible, so the moment to actually install Ansible, look at this stage. When I did Ansible version, it says this is the location of the config file. So inside this config file, there are a lot of things you could really configure inside this config file. So if you so wish, you can just play around. But let me just change one thing there. Let me see, control. Insert. Let me cut first. Oh, okay. So it's even blank since Ansible 2.1 to generate the example of config file, disable one with default. Ansible also, you can now have more complete file by including existing plugin Ansible. For previous versions of Ansible, you can check for examples in this table. Note that this file was always incomplete and login, okay, for example, okay. So I think it's actually clear, but there are some configurations you can actually make in Ansible anyway. There's something we actually call SSH key configuration. So with the SSH key configuration, the moment you spin up EC2 instance, at the point of you spinning up EC2 instance, you download the SSH key. So in a scenario where your SSH key is actually maybe rotated, okay, maybe in a scenario where you have your SSH key rotated or something like it's changed, it's going to throw some errors. So that's why you want to configure your Ansible config anyway. But for now, we can just still ignore that and let's just get straight to the business anyway. Now let's play around ls. Let me create a directory called Ansible, mkdir Ansible. I cd into Ansible. Okay. Then there's this file we actually call inventory. Now I told you inventory. Inventory is where you have all the list of your servers configured. Okay, so inside the inventory file, you can take the default location for the inventory. The default location for the inventory should be let me open a second terminal so that I will not be roaming around. Should be cd, I think etc Ansible ls. All right, so is it host or hosts? Let me say cast host. Okay, should be hosts. All right, so now this is the default Ansible inventory file. So this inventory file happened. Which one is this? Okay, I think I was just practicing. All right, so this inventory file is where you have all the list of the IPs that you want to configure. So if you have the time to, you can just easily just read through it. You have a lot of instructions there. This is the default Ansible host file. Okay, so inventory file, you can have inventory file in a list like this. Look at this now. This IP, this my AWS IP now. Do you know I can assign a DNS to it? All I just have to do is buy a domain name and then put my machine IP into that domain name. The moment you access that domain name, it's going to direct you to that machine IP. Okay, so that's what you have here. So that's why you can configure a web server your EC2 instance where you just change your domain name to the machine IP, and anytime the traffic is going through that domain name, is going to enter your EC2 instance. So that's an example where you have here. So here is a domain name which is green.example.com. So you can just have a list of those machines, maybe DNS or IP. So these are different IPs, but mind you, these are commented out because of this hash in front. I think I told you earlier, anywhere you see hash at the beginning, it actually means comment. And what does comment means? Comment means like it's not doing anything, it's just a note. Okay, so that's why it's not going to affect, because this is just a mere note. Okay, so look at this first example. We said this is an ungrouped host. It's just the mere list. So now there's another way. You also have grouping. There's a way you actually group host as well. So when you group host, you can just run a playbook and say, okay, this playbook run for this set of machines that you've grouped already. So you can say, okay, playbook run on web servers. So everything under these web servers, look at how do you group? Look at these square brackets. That's how you specify group names. Group names, okay? So every list under actually means all these machines like this. Let's assume they are all commented out. Actually means they are grouped. They are classified under web servers. Anytime I deploy using group, web server is going to just deploy to all these nodes, all these machines that I have listed here. Okay. Then if you have multiple following pattern, you can specify, okay, this also telling you can specify patterns too. Okay, fine. Collection of databases, almost the same format. All right, so look at this last part. This last part too? Look at this last part. Host 1, Ansible host. Look at it, Ansible host. This is the machine IP. Specify the machine IP. Then what is the default username that you want to deploy? Ubuntu. Then where is the Ansible private key that you want to use to access that machine? Okay, so now this is me just trying to specify the private key. You know, the moment you are spinning up your machine instance, the EC2 instance, remember you're going to download the private key, right? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, fine. So at the moment you're spinning up your EC2 instance, you download the private key, which I didn't download because I was already having it already. So all I just did was, okay, please use my already existing private key, which is dev2. This is the dev2. That was why, if you remember, when I was spinning up my EC2 instance, I just selected dev2 because I have it downloaded already. So now when I want to configure this my inventory, I'll just specify the location of this my private key, that dev2. That's what it's going to be. I'll just say Ansible SSH private key. So I'll just specify it here. And again, let's assume you don't want to use private key, you want to use password too. You can also use password. I think you just have to specify Ansible SSH pass. Yeah, it should be as simple as using Ansible SSH pass. We are going to try both anyway and see how it goes. All right, so let's move. I'm going to update the Ansible IP. Let me update the Ansible IP. I'll just change the machine IP. And you know, your EC2 instance, default username is Ubuntu. So I'll just leave the Ansible user as Ubuntu. Then the private key location, which I showed earlier, where is it? So the location of this, is it possible? Copy. Open.
You mentioned earlier that the file was dev2.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, it's my mistake. Okay. Dev2. Yeah. All right. So I actually want to copy. Copy this. Okay. Yeah. So this is the location. Then I'll just replace it. Isn't copy. All right, so now we have the Ansible host 1. We call it host 1. Okay, then this is the IP. This is, let's assume we have other machines too. I can just put it here. I'll just copy the same template, change the IP, and maybe I'm using private key. I can also use password anyway. So I can also have something like this and say control insert paste and say, okay, I want to use just username and password. So I can just say the machine IP, then the user, then the SSH, Ansible SSH pass. I can delete this. I can delete this last part and say Ansible SSH pass. Equals to, then I'll specify the password here. Specify the password. Let's assume I just put to pass. Okay, but now since our machine, you know, we don't have password already, so I'll just comment it out for now. I'll just comment it out for now and save what we already have. WQ ropes. Q. Sorry, sudo su. All right, so vi host. Copy. Machine IP. Okay, then that should be it. All right, so we've configured our inventory. So the example I have here, host one, yeah, the same thing, user ports. That's when if you are using ports, or we are not specifying ports. So we have, yeah, it's just repeating the same thing. Yeah, so now that we are done with that, let's just test what we have. For us to test if it's going to work fine, we are going to ping. You know ping command. Ping command is, normally I can just ping this instance. I can ping this instance from my machine and see if it's active. It's just a troubleshooting tool. You just say ping, then specify the machine IP. So as far as I can tell now, it's not working on my machine. It's not working. Why is it not pinging? Why is it not pinging? So normally when you ping, it's supposed to show you like, oh, okay, this machine is switchable. This machine is switchable, but now I can't even ping. I can't even ping this instance. Why can't I ping? All right, let me just test if I can even SSH into the same machine. SSH -I home Richmind downloads. Home Richmind downloads. Then dev2. Okay, then Ubuntu at the machine IP. Okay, I'm able to SSH anyway, so but it's not just allowing me to ping, which is fine. All right, so running this command just to test run, I believe it should be fine as well. So now look at it now. Let me explain this command. This command is just a test command, Ansible. So I'm going to say, okay, Ansible, please use this file called host, okay, and everything inside the host. Okay, that's why this is all. You remember I told you could group, you could list. Let's assume I just want to ping a particular set like that web server. I'll just say Ansible, okay, ping web servers. Okay, but in this scenario, I said ping all the list I have inside my host, ping everything. Okay, so that's what this means. It said Ansible, this I means inventory. Okay, the inventory to use is hosts. Remember, that's the file we are opening, this host file. So I said inventory to use is hosts. Okay, and all the servers we have inside the host. Then this M means the module to use. So I want you to just use the module ping. So like, let's come here and say, I think we should have ping here. IES ping. So if you just check very well, there could be some module for ping too. These are iOS pings, but that's just how it works anyway. So you just check ping module, maybe it's there, or maybe it's under somewhere, but definitely this is how it works. So just use Ansible ping to just see how it works. Control insert. Let's see. All right, so now it says there is a problem. So he said host 1 unreachable, changed, message failed to connect to the host via SSH, load key, downloads. It's a directory. Oh, sorry. I only specify the directory. I didn't specify the file name to use, right? I'm supposed to specify dev2. I just said downloads. So I missed out dev2, dev2.pam. WQ. So let's see. All right, so look at it now. You can see the difference. The first one says unreachable, the second one says success. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right. The other example that I actually wanted to show you the other time, let me just show you how you can log in with password. So I'm going to log into the EC2 instance again and see. Yeah, I will dive and log in. Is the SSH command I used? Okay, this. All right, so I'll just create a password on that EC2 instance and use it in the configuration. Sudo su. I'll just say password. Password Ubuntu. Okay, then specify the password. Ubuntu. So now one issue I'm going to have with this is that I have to expose it. You know, you might need to expose it to the file. That's one of the reasons why it's not always advisable. Okay. The second way of doing it is specifying the password. You can imagine me configuring my Ansible host and putting my password inside that file. Okay. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. I'm configuring my Ansible host and then I'm specifying my password there. It doesn't really make sense. But for the purpose of this class, I'll just try it and I'll just do it anyway and change it. So let me just come here and say di sudo su di hosts. All right, so I'll just change the same thing we have here. Pass. I think I just say Ubuntu. You can also use environment variables anyway, but I'll just use this simple one. Let me just comment this out. I'm going to comment this out. Okay, so let me try to ping again and see. Go to ping again and see. Like right now, I'm pinging from my local machine. So, country CV. CD. It's looking for the host file, so it's not seen because it's looking for it in my present working directory. So I have to specify the host file directory, which is in etc Ansible host. All right, so okay, now look at it now. Using SSH password instead of key is not possible because host key check is enabled and SSH pass does not support this. Please add this host fingerprint to your known host to manage this. I kind of feel this can be misleading. I know what this is pointing out. You know, I just pinned up the EC2 instance. I didn't configure it to use password. I think we did that in our first class, how to allow EC2 instance to, how to give EC2 instance to allow SSH password login. So I might need to do that to allow SSH password. So it's as simple as just coming here and, okay, this is public key authentication. Let's say password authentication. Okay, look at password authentication. It's no, so I can change this to yes. This could be one of the reasons. WQ save. Then after that, I'm going to restart the service. Please, I believe you understand what I'm doing here. This SSH.
Yes, I would. I do.
Okay. A quick question. I hope I'm not moving too fast. I hope you're following me, or I'm too fast. So I'm just teaching myself. I'm teaching myself, right? What?
You're not teaching yourself. I'm catching up, but I believe when I recheck, I will understand better.
All right, thank you for the feedback. Laoye, Femi, what's up?
Honestly, yeah, it's quite much to handle, but we can keep going, I guess.
Okay, practice, keep practice.
My own is still about the real life application of it. It's still looking like,
Yeah, this is real life application already. As a DevOps,
wow.
You're going to manage servers, won't you? So let's assume you resume work tomorrow and they ask you to configure 1,000 servers. Okay, how do you want to do it? This is just a simple solution for you. Okay, yeah, even during your interview. Oh yeah, you know Ansible, where you can easily use Ansible to manage servers as a code and all. It's nothing abstract. It's like you have, and when you're talking about servers now, I can decide from here, I can decide to manage your servers. I can decide to manage your machine from my angle here. That's what it means. Just give me your SSH password, and then I can configure your machine remotely. Let's assume all my students, in fact, there are some schools that even do the same thing. They will say practical, they're like, okay, submit your IP address and your private key, you know, just send it to me, and they'll push. I don't know if that thing hasn't it happened to you? Like you just discover, maybe you've worked in a company, they'll just say, okay, we've pushed an application to you, okay, just go and check your machine and see. I remember in school days then, it's happened a lot of times. They say, oh, we've pushed it, you know, just check, just confirm if you receive it. In fact, in our workplace too, they do the same thing. You just wake up overnight and discover Microsoft Word is already installed on your machine. You know, how did this happen? It's something like this. It's automated. Nobody really had to physically log into your machine. You just wake up and discover Microsoft Word is installed on your machine, or you just discover some configurations are installed on your machine. That's automation. Systemctl restart SSHD. Okay, we've done this now. So now let me try to ping again using that SSH password I just configured. At least you know the difference between password and keys. You know their usage, right? All right, so using SSH password instead of key is not possible because host key check-ins. Okay, fine. All right, so at this stage is complaining about this host key check-ins, which is configured by default. So in such scenario now, I think I need to override this host key check-ins, which is possible inside that Ansible config file. Inside this Ansible config file, this is Ansible config file here. So I can override it here. So I can say Ansible vi Ansible. It's just, if you have this issue, this issue I'm having now is it's based on experience. If you just copy this particular issue and put it in Google, you will get an answer. So it's not, maybe me develop Ansible. I just had to look through it, and then I saw the solution. So look at this is all I just have to do. Create a file, Ansible in your project directory in the provisioning part with the following content. Look at it, default Ansible. So this is all I just have to do. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and create the file. The file is already existing anyway. There are ways of overriding it, but I'll just use the default. So all right, so I'll save. Then let me rerun. All right, so you see, successful. Okay, so now, Femi, as you're talking about application, the assignment I'm just going to give you is just get this list of modules. Let me share it on WhatsApp. I'm going to share it on the WhatsApp. Just play around with it.
Okay, sir.
Just check, EC2 instance. What can you do on EC2 instance? Okay, you look at the apt package manager. Just get 2 machines, install Ansible on one, configure another machine. Okay, apt package manager, set up user, how to use Ansible to set up user, just like I'll be doing. Just check it and see that's the application, because you definitely be doing these things.
Okay, sir.
So I want to share the link. All right, so I just shared the Ansible module on the group. Okay, so and besides, by the time you're done with Terraform, I actually have a plan anyway to give us some tasks, some real life environment tasks that you just perform and submit. At least that will give you some exposition to be able to get things done on your own and boost your confidence too, in case you have not been practicing DevOps. Fine, if you have a place to practice DevOps, it's going to be a very good one, because you'll be learning, you'll be given tasks, and then you'll be applying, you'll be learning on the job. But pending the time you get the job, you can also be doing some real life practicals. So I just want us to finish Terraform and then start that. All right, so now we have, okay, we can confirm Ansible is working fine. So there are some other things you can just play around with too. So we have inline commands. So with inline commands now, okay, let me show you this practical. So look at this inline command. Now, there are ways of using Ansible. You can use Ansible inline. And when I mean inline, means you don't have to create any file. Okay, so you just do everything with a single command that is going to perform. Okay, so that's an example of what we did here. This thing is an inline command. I can also create a file for it. But look at this inline command again. What this is actually doing is to copy. What this is doing is Ansible to copy. So I can say, okay, copy a file. Let me assume I create a file. Let me assume, let me just say I'm creating a file here. I'm creating a file inside Richmind. Okay, copy a particular file inside Richmind. Okay, fine. Just going to say, okay, copy this file. Control insert. So, which file do we have inside Richmind? Okay, do you have any file inside Richmind? Let me just see. ls Richmind. Let me just, okay, let me say copy this deployment.yaml file and put it inside my EC2 instance. Okay, and say post it inside my EC2 instance into temp file. Okay, into it. Look at it now. Okay, so I'm saying Ansible use this inventory in this location. Okay, that is my host location, and deploy it to all the list of the servers I have there with the module that I want to use. I want to use module ansible.builtin.copy. Okay, so it's expecting some arguments. It's actually expecting some arguments. So the argument is source. You know, I want to copy. Okay, what do you want to copy? I'm copying from my present working directory source, which is deployment, and put it in the destination of all those servers in the inventory inside temp host. So if I run this now and go to situ instance, I should see this file inside temp host. Okay, look at it. Host 1 change. You know, we only have host 1. Okay, artifacts discovered using this checksum change. Yeah, so this is just to tell you it's done. So if I go to my situ instance now and check ls and do ls tmp, here's it. LSTMP host. What happened? It's not. Oh, sorry. It has logged me out. I have to log it back. Okay, LSTMP host. Okay, so it's a file. So you can see this is the deployment. You can see it automatically updated the file. Okay, or let me just say vi test.txt. Okay, creating a file. Hello, Femi WQ. So let me run the same thing and say, okay, copy test.txt and put it inside test.txt and put it inside this location, call it text.py. And call it anything. Okay, so copy this file and rename it, call it text.py destination. All right, so change now. Let's see. Cards tmp test.py. Okay, so you can see hello Femi inside my situ instance. Is it making sense?
Yes.
All right, cool. So now let's go further. Let's go further now. So web servers host. So just playing around. So let's you know, I told you can do inline configuration using Ansible built-in. Look at here now, like this now I can create a file instead of doing those. So now I just have a simple playbook here. So look at this playbook. In DevOps, we actually we do more of configuration than we could. Okay, so which we actually make use of YAML file. So with YAML file actually works with indentations, mostly indentations, hyphen, you know, mostly. So if you have time, you can just try and understand how YAML file works. So taking a look at this now, this is a typical example of a YAML file. It actually works in such a way like it has key and value. Look at it, name, just like name, Bolu, location, Saudi Arabia, job status, DevOps engineer. You get seniority level, okay, senior DevOps, favorite food, just key and value. So it's the same thing that we have here. Look at its name of the playbook, that's introduction to Ansible. So host all, just like we've been having. So task, this is the task, the modules that you want to perform. So what is the name of the first task? We have copy file host with permission. So look at it. So under every module starts with this. Look at it. Every module starts with this. So now another thing you should take note is we have parents, children. Okay, parent, children. Yeah, I don't know, but I believe you should understand what I'm trying to say. Look at this now, like you have subset. Okay, thank you. You have subset, at least to some reasonable extent. We did mathematics, subset. So this is telling you like task. When you look at this task now, you see task is not having any attributes in front of it. Okay, now that is to tell you like it's instead carrying children. So these are the children of task. It has 3 children already. Look at it. This is children 1. This is child 1. This is child 2. This is child 3. So child 1 and 2 has its own attributes: name, copy file, Ansible built-in copy, no value in front of it. It actually means, okay, it's expecting some maybe multiple attributes, which is source. You see, because you're having nothing in front of it. So anytime you're having children, you must indent it one time. Look at this task now. Because task is expecting a child, that's why you indented it like this. Okay, so look at this now. A child, you have to give it indent. You have to give it space. Okay, so that's how you actually specify child. Look at this thing, Ansible built-in user. It's not having value in front of it. So the value is just name is a subset of it. So you just indent it. Okay, so every time you're defining a child of a parent, you just give it indent. You could use space bar or tab. The choice is yours. So that's what's happening here. So now look at its tasks now. So this playbook now, we want to perform 3 tasks. The first task is copy host file. Okay. The second one is create a user, add the user Bob. Okay. And the third one is update a package. Okay. So we are going to do this. And now look at this now, just like we previously did. Ansible built-in copy, just like the previous command we had. Ansible built-in copy. So you can see this is the module, Ansible built-in copy. So this is the module here, Ansible built-in copy. If I go to Ansible here now, let me see, copy. Postgres copy. Choose this on archive. VSphere, win copy. I'm not doing win copy. That's for Windows copy. Copy file to a remote location of Windows host. No. So you see, that's for Windows. But in our case, we actually need for Linux. See file copy, file Cloud Engine. No, you're not doing Cloud Engine. Copy. Okay, so see, copy file to a remote host. If you open it, okay, so if you open it, just come and see, you see it. Okay, this is a different module. In fact, they're even using copy module here. They're not even using Ansible built-in copy. This is another module. So I can still do the same thing. Look at it now. Source, destination. Even though it's not using Ansible built-in, right? It's using ordinary copy. It's still going to do the same thing. So you can decide to use this. Let me see, maybe I will see that Ansible built-in copy. I think that's just it anyway. Yeah, that's just it. Maybe decide to see that even obsolete, but I can even decide to use this instead of using the Ansible. Okay, we are going to use both. We are going to use both. So let's do this. I'm going to copy both and use them. All right, so now I'm just going to copy this and say, so I want to copy, let me say I want to copy test.txt and put it inside text.py. Then the second copy module that I'm going to use, let me say I'm copying text.txt as well. I'm copying test.txt. Let me be sure of the spelling. ls. Okay, test.txt, okay. And then I'm pasting it inside. Let me call it test2.py. I'll call it test2.py. So you can see the two actions, okay? Then also, now I may just take this out. Just take this out. So let's see user. So Ansible for creating user, create a user called Bob, become yes. Okay. So this become yes is okay. Grant it elevated access, elevated privilege. So become method sudo, just like you do your sudo, because you know you cannot create a user without having sudo permission. Okay, so this is just to create a user called Bob. Okay, then you can also create a package. This is upgrade all apt packages. Okay, upgrade all apt packages. So this is another module to upgrade all apt packages. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to copy this and say vi Ansible.yaml. Okay, and then so for me to run this now, it's as simple as just saying Ansible playbook. If I say Ansible-playbook, then the file name. That is how to run playbook files. Now I told you playbook are just the instructions. Okay, so for you to run playbook now, just say Ansible playbook, then the file name, which is ansible.yaml. So now play intro to Ansible playbook. So it's starting intro to Ansible playbook. This is what you have here. So it's gathering facts. Okay, so host 1. Okay, so it's trying to copy the file, copy file with permissions. That's why it's keep running. So change, that's successful. So copy file with owner permission. This copy is doing the second one. Okay, changed. Then the third one, creating user. So now it's trying to upgrade apt packages. Okay, so now done. Host 1. Let's assume I have multiple hosts. It's going to list them because I only have one host. Okay, 5, change 3, unreachable field, nothing failed. All right, so that's completed now. So let's try to confirm what we did. Let's try to confirm. So now we created a file called temp. So let's go to temp and do ls. So look at it. We created a file called temp.py, and then we created another file called test2.py. So you can see it here. So I can cut test2. You can see hello Femi. Okay, then we told it to create a user. So let's see if it created the user. So you can see it created the user, ls Bob. Let me see ls-lat Bob. So set no permission, sudo su. Okay, ls-lat Bob. Okay, so you can see 2nd of May. Okay, so look at the timing. 22:19. So that's 2 minutes ago. So that's to tell you everything is okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, so let's assume you just want to play around. We can also still play around with Ansible, a lot of playing around here and there, but I don't know if I should continue with that. You can play around with variables, which I have some examples here, but I think I will just keep that for now. I'll just leave it to you to just, try and play around with Ansible and get things done. So at your own leisure time, when things start to get complicated or module up, you can start going deeper. Like look at this now. I just have this playbook now with variables. So with that variables, I can we call it variable substitution, add user with this, I specify the username. So I can specify group of packages that I want to install, just play around and all. But basically, I just said, I'm not going to model things up. I'm going to make it as simple as possible. Then the deeper you go, the deeper you go, the complicated it can be, but it's better you always take it from ground up. So I'll just leave it to try and practice. And, when you understand the initial concept, then you can start going deeper.
Okay. And I wanted to ask about this particular app, this one that you are using where you inserted the YAML file.
Okay.
Not this one, like where the YAML file is. Not
okay, this one, right?
Exactly. Like I didn't get the class where you explained the app to them.
It's just ID anyway, Sublime. Just download Sublime.
Does it work for Windows?
Yes. I was using it on Windows. So just download Sublime Text.
Oh, but this same app, I can't use Notepad as a substitute.
Notepad is just like a text editor, but this is an ID. Look at it now. I can just tell it like, okay, guy, this is a YAML file, and it's going to design it in form of a YAML. You can easily look at it now. You see, change color. Let's assume I have Python file. You can just change it. We call it ID, Integrated Development Environment. So it just, you can easily troubleshoot. It gives you fine interface. You can do a lot of things. I can tell you this is Python. It doesn't recognize that Python. So, but then you can still see some, some color. If I see this color, make program more interesting than you have in Notepad. You're seeing color. Fascinating.
All right.
Okay. Please, any other question before we just call it a day?
Okay, then I wanted to ask you, before now, you said we were going to address Ansible and Terraform.
Yeah.
So that will be in the next class, right?
Yeah, this is Ansible. So our next class should be on Terraform.
On Terraform, okay.
Yes. Terraform is almost the same thing too as Ansible too, though. But then, that's for infrastructure, infrastructure deployment. It's also simple anyway. They are both simple. So we should just try and wrap up Terraform as well in our next class. Miracle, Laoye, any question?
Well, there's no question for now.
Okay. Laoye. I think Laoye is sleeping. Okay. Yeah. I hope you actually found this useful anyway. Right? At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, especially the fact that you said you can imagine being able to manage so many servers like at once. It's amazing.
I'm telling you. So you just list it, just like we have, after running the code here, you can see it. It just listed. Let's assume I have multiple servers here. So if you have EC2 instance, you can share it with me and give me the password, and I'm going to configure it. And you see it but then it's okay. So you just see it's going to configure everything all at once. Pretty straightforward. All right now. Thank you for taking time out to attend. So we talk about our next class on the group. That's Terraform.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, pleasure is mine. Enjoy the rest of. Enjoy your nights. Bye for now.
I used to say, up Chelsea.
Don't say that again.